So, what's your vision for the future?
Man, that's a good question. So, next April, or this April, I guess, next month, I should say, I am flying down to a place in Ohio, and I'm going to be one of the keynote speakers at an abuse prevention meeting. It'll be my first time I've actually spoken in public about my experience. I mean, I've been on several podcasts, but it'll be my first experience speaking in public. Depending how that goes, I could see myself going in two different directions. One, continuing to be the chief marketing officer here. I love my job, love my team. But I also have this desire to be maybe a motivational speaker, maybe an advocate for male victims of sexual abuse. Because, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, I think there's a lot more. Well, statistically, I know there's a lot more, but men don't talk about it. And so I don't know if it would be motivational speaking at those types of abuse awareness events where they can see somebody that did experience sexual abuse but is now thriving, not as a result but in spite of it, thriving in spite of that sexual abuse. So I love getting up and I love motivating people, and I feel like I have a story to tell. And
Yeah,
the 100-pound weight loss and the thriving, I graduated with a fake degree in music, and for someone who graduated from a non-accredited home church college, to be able to say that I'm the chief marketing officer of a large financial organization. I mean, I'm not the richest person in the world, and I'm not the chief marketing officer of Amazon or anything like that. But uh, depending on how people define success, I would say that I mean, I already know I'm successful because I have a beautiful family. I have a gorgeous wife that loves me, and I have beautiful children that love me, and I love them. So I already consider myself a successful man. But being able to even thrive in the business world in spite of the way I was brought up and the abuse, I think that could be motivating and inspiring to other people. So I don't know what the future holds, but that's definitely something that's on my mind constantly is the ability to be maybe a motivational speaker,
yeah, yeah,
and stuff like that.
yeah. I'm not surprised, and and you've really come a long way, and it is a very inspiring story. So, is there
Thank you.
anything else that we should cover that we haven't here?
I often get asked what my advice would be to somebody who is experiencing any type of abuse, whether it's spousal abuse or mental or emotional or physical abuse. And, in my book, I have a whole chapter on, first you have to get out of your environment. You can't continue to heal if you're still being hurt. And so and I have a whole list of things. But since then, if I had to rewrite the book, I think that I would encourage people that the first step would be recognize that you are in an abusive environment. So many times I've had people reach out to me and say, well, my abuse wasn't really what yours was, but I've experienced this. And people downplay their own abuse because they don't recognize it as abuse. Or I've had
Right.
people say, yeah, my husband beats me, but if I would just learn to stop back talking him, or if I would learn to have his dinner ready when he gets home, and
Yeah.
they
Right.
blame themselves. And so I guess the advice that I would give to anyone that's experiencing that type of abuse or any type of abuse is to recognize it for what it is and stop making excuses for your abuser. Because until you recognize this is abuse, plain and simple, clear cut, until you recognize that, then to me that's the first step. And so that's what I always like to say to people who would ask me, what would you recommend? What advice would you give somebody who is in an abusive environment?